It's only 3 guys that won the MVP that wasn't top 10 in scoring. Do you know who those 3 guys were? Steve Nash, Jokic, and Dirk Nowitzki. What do those guys have in common?
I don't like to rain on people's parade, but I'm not happy with this one. Congratulations to Joker, you are the best big man in the league, but based on everybody's criteria, my criteria, stat stuffer, I felt Shai Alexander deserved it.
Jokic is probably, statistically, when it comes to overall game, the worst MVP winner in the last 40 years.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Every year, the NBA MVP award always sparks a lot of controversies and arguments. This year is nothing out of the ordinary. Obviously, Nikola Jokic won this year's MVP award, but a lot of people didn't agree with the decision because it's a very close MVP race.
Luka got robbed.
SGA should have one MVP. Terrible
I'd
decision.
say Giannis deserves
I don't care.
more than Jokic.
Anthony Edwards should win in my book.
So today we're gonna figure out whether he actually deserves the award this year or someone else should have won it over him. And you're not gonna believe what I found upon doing my research. But before getting into the video, I want to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor. Nah, I'm just around, I ain't got no sponsor yet. Anyways, right now the NBA does not have any criteria when it comes to the stats for winning the MVP award. It's basically just a bunch of sports analysts voting on who they think is the best player. So no need to say the whole voting process is very subjective and biased. Like, who the f actually voted for Sabonis to be the MVP? That's when you know all these so-called sports analysts are just stupid. If you go back to the 90s and 2000s, most of the MVPs that were selected were the best players on the best teams. From 1989 to 2016, not a single MVP winner was not in a top 2 seeded team in their respective conference. But in 2017, Russell Westbrook from the OKC was selected to be the MVP and they were in the 6th seed. From that point forward, 4 out of the 7 MVP winners were not in a top 2 seeded team. Don't get me wrong though, I don't think picking the best player from the best team is a good method determining the MVP winner, but at least they had a system back then. Well, now you might be thinking, if that method is bad and sports analysts are just stupid, then how the f are we supposed to find out the MVP winner? I was scouring the internet doing some research and I came across this one post on Reddit that introduces a more complex and interesting approach to the picking the best player from the best team. So go to the team with the league's best record. Do they have a player who's head and shoulders above their next best player? If so, congratulations, you found your MVP. If not, go to the step 3, go to the next highest seed and repeat step 2. Take this year for example, the team with the best record is clearly the Boston Celtics. However, Jason Tatum is definitely not head and shoulders above Jaylen Brown. I'd say they're pretty even if you ask me. So now you go to the team with the second best record, which are conveniently the Nuggets and the Thunder. And according to the approach, both SGA and Jokic are way better than their next player on their respective team. And guess what? They finished first and second in the MVP voting. But does the seeding matter that much in the MVP voting process though? Yes, but to an extent. Obviously injuries are gonna hinder a team's success. Like the Mavericks, they lost Kyrie due to injury in the middle of the season and they sort of fucked up their seeding. And sometimes maybe your teammates are just ass. Take 2022 for example, Jokic won his second MVP despite his team being in the 6th seed. But if you look at the rest of the team, the second best player was literally Aaron Gordon because Jamal Murray was hurt that year and he only averaged 15 points per game. A lot of people make a strong case for Luka being the MVP this year because he puts up insane numbers which is similar to 2017 Westbrook. Even Jimmy Highroller, one of the best NBA content creators out here, said this about Luka.
What do you call a player who is averaging 34, 9, and 10 a game on 62% true shooting? The face of the NBA? The best basketball player in the world? How about the player who is 4th on the NBA's MVP leaderboard at the moment?
Luka is undoubtedly one of the best players in the NBA right now. His impact still isn't great enough to pull his team to get more wins though. The Dallas Mavericks finished 5th in the West this season. If they were to get more wins, I feel like he'll be more validated to win the MVP this year. But what Jimmy also didn't account for is that some of the basic stats nowadays are inflated, such as the referees calling more fouls than ever, which results in players scoring more points. So we shouldn't judge by only looking at the points, rebounds, and assist averages. Instead of using these basic metrics, we should look into a more advanced, geeky type of statistics in order to find out who the real MVP is. And the best way to do it is by looking at individual player impact, because basically that's what being the most valuable player means. Box Plus Minus estimates a player's contribution to the team when the player is on the court. Player efficiency rating measures a player's per minute productivity. Win shares represents a player's total contribution to the team's success. We're gonna compare the top 3 MVP finalists, Nikola Jokic, SGA, and Luka, based on these metrics. I like Tatum and Giannis, but let's be honest, they definitely don't deserve no MVP this year. Jokic leads the league by having the highest BPM, 13.2, followed by Luka 9.9 and Shai 9.0. For the PER, Luka has 28.1, which is way above the league average of 15. The only players that are above him are, you guessed it, SGA and Jokic, with a staggering 29.3 and 31. Jokic also has the best win shares among all of them. As we can see here, Jokic beats both SGA and Luka on these advanced stats. And I'm not even picking and choosing here. Jokic literally is better than them on every single metric, other than usage rate. But who cares about that, right? So if Jokic is the best in all of these metrics regarding player impact, he clearly deserves to be the MVP winner this year, right? Well, not so fast. Sometimes solely looking at these stats is not sufficient to figure out who the better player is. There are a lot of important intangibles that might be overlooked when it comes to basketball. Let's play a game here. We have 2 players' stats in the 2016 and 17 season. I want you to tell me who the better player is. Based off the stats alone, the player on the right is clearly better, right? Well, this is Rudy Gobert's stats in his 2016 and 17 season. And on the left, we have the defensive player of that year in Draymond Green. Obviously, Draymond was the better player in that season, but his impact didn't exactly reflect on his stat sheet. Truth is, there are a lot of intangibles to the game of basketball, like leadership, clutch performances, playmaking, etc., that you can only notice if you watch the game. Going back to the MVP discussion, for Jokic, he's known for his unselfish play and his ability to elevate everyone around him. When we talk about him, his flashy passes, dominance on the offensive end, and consistency come to mind. But what's also very underrated about him is his basketball IQ. If you've been keeping up with the NBA, you should have seen clips of him just being a pure genius, reading the other team's strategies and responding to them. For SGA, he's a young leader on a super young team. Even though he's not a pass-first guard, his play style still inspires and instills confidence in his teammates. And if you don't know by now, Shai is one of the clutchest players in the league right now. He's the second runner-up for the Clutch Player of the Year award. Luka, of course, an offensive juggernaut. I've never seen a player putting up efficient numbers like his since like Harden back in 2018. Just the amount of attention that he draws every time he touches the ball helps create more space on the floor for other players. We can't forget about his playmaking ability as well. He's basically the point guard version of Jokic. With that being said, if you add up all the advanced stats and the intangibles all together, the MVP of this year should be, drumroll please, Nikola Jokic. He just has the whole package. Not only is he better than both Luka and Shai in terms of advanced stats, his intangibles are just as good, if not better, than the other 2 finalists. The guy can literally do everything on the court. The only knock you can say about him is maybe his defensive ability and his attitude towards the game of basketball. Because you know, a lot of people have said that he doesn't give a f about the NBA at all, and he only loves his horses.
And now you are an NBA champion, Nikola. How does that feel?
It's good. It's good. The job is done. We can go home now.
Me personally, I don't think so. I just think that he doesn't like all the attention that he gets from being in the NBA. Anyways, that's it for today's video. Let me know in the comment section who you think deserves to be the MVP the most this year. And yeah, drop me a like and sub if you enjoyed the video. I've been grinding, cooking up some more bangers for y'all. So stay tuned and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.